Finn has received his own week. With it came a lot more than what Sprouts' Tune of the Week had. Let's cover everything, and I'll give my critiques or compliments to anything that deserves it. I mean, I'm not sure what else I could say. A bunch of people already know what's in the update, so... Though, I want to say, happy 2-year anniversary, Dandy's World. Alpha release was made public on June 14th, 2024. This day, hopefully, at least. If this video wasn't released that day, then whoops. So, happy 2 years. May the next year have a more productive team. First, let's start with...
visual stuff.
Now, I will go over this quickly, and by quickly, I mean I'll put less analytical thought into it, because I'm more of a gameplay guy than a visuals guy. At least, for my YouTube channel I am. If, it wasn't super obvious by the fact that gameplay is all I talk about in this channel. Anyways, what do I mean by visual stuff? I mean cosmetics, animations, and UI. I want to talk about the cosmetics first. I like the new Finn Robux skin. The golden skin is alright. I think I should have gone for something else. The 100 score in the Swimmy Barnaby arcade skin is mid. One thing I want to mention though, this is the first skin to be rewarded to the player through an achievement. Look, I won't act dumb. I know this is a basic game element. Get an achievement, earn a cosmetic or reward. However, I think there is such a thing as a time and a place. In the current state of Dandy's World, where everyone is constantly complaining about the game, especially about cosmetics, I really don't think this is something they need to do. If you look at previous updates, cosmetics has been the main content in a bunch of them, including the last Tune of the Week. Somehow also including the events, which are pretty close to major updates in this game. I'll say it again, as sometimes what I say goes over the head of a couple people. I am aware this rewarding system is something that exists in hundreds, probably thousands of other games. However, what my point is that this isn't appropriate given the circumstances from the community's expectations. Though, it is nice to get a reward for reaching a high score in a relatively hard game. You know, that being Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird being hard, huh? Keep that in mind. Trust me, I will bring it up later. Okay, I need to move on. The UI in Swimmy Barnaby is okay. It's rough when the fish moves down and there's some decoration in the machine background, but it looks kind of off-putting to me. However, I like the new drawings of Finn. When Ko draws Finn, he's always looked kind of... bad? But Quill did him justice. The last thing I want to talk about are the animation and unironically my favorite part of this update, dynamic faces? No, not those dynamic faces. Ugh. The animations for the starters in the start screen and Dandy in the shop are so expressive. I love them. Unfortunately, I still have a complaint. While they are very expressive, the regular animations for the starters are still pretty boring. I understand optimizations reanimated everybody, but come on. Imagine seeing Poppy jump up in joy, then in game she constantly has her arms in the same position and slides across the floor. It ruins the atmosphere. I mean, imagine if Noscape had the sickest intro ever leading to the game, being so action-packed with so much unique movement. Then in game it ends up being some basic movement with limiting positioning. Not saying Noscape is that, I'm just trying to put an image in your head. Now I must talk about the dynamic faces. I really hope these get integrated into every single tune eventually. I think it would give them so much more life and allow for more expressions than just a tune changing their face for 2 seconds in the most static way ever. Well, this may unironically be the longest part in the whole video. Shows what their priorities are, huh? Oh, I'm going to get so many comments saying how I'm just bitching just to bitch. Oh boy.
Neat Twisted.
I must admit, the new Twisted rework, it's actually pretty neat. I'm serious, I can only come up with one issue, but that's something that requires RNG, meaning it won't always happen. I'm sure all of you know what Twisted Finn does, but I still need to explain it. Twisted Finn creates a puddle of Ichor, pretty much like the ones in Ichor leaks, and he throws Twisted Barnaby in there. If a player goes into a puddle, Twisted Barnaby will latch onto that player and will instantly get the attention of Twisted Finn. I mean that. He will stop what he's doing, even if that's chasing another player, just to chase the player who has Twisted Barnaby. Also, other players can take off Twisted Barnaby off the player who has it to, well, remove the threat of Twisted Finn always knowing the location of that player. Also, the Ichor puddle works like any other Ichor puddle. It gives slowness 1 and illness 3. I love this new Twisted rework. It's anti-distractor and also requires the player to think. In case you don't know why it's anti-distractor, Because Twisted Finn stops what he's doing, if he was previously on the distractor, Twisted Finn will stop targeting that distractor and return to actually being a threat. This also makes players have to require movement and positioning. Ichor puddles are usually something you want to ignore. It makes extracting harder with illness and makes it easier for Twisted to catch up with slowness. However, now that a puddle with Twisted Barnaby ends up attracting Twisted Finn away from the distractor, that means if they don't want to bother the distractor, they need to avoid the puddles. And at the end of the day, Twisted Finn isn't even that hard to deal with. If he's on you, due to his attention span of 1.5 seconds, he can get off your tail relatively easily. And due to his low speed, he will struggle to catch up. The cherry on top is Twisted Finn lost its passive ability to give somebody slowness 3 upon completing a machine. This was a dumbass ability. It punished the player for progressing correctly. I would understand if it was punishing you for failing a skill check, but no, it punished you for fully extracting a machine. Also, I need to mention, there are proper stacking changes, which is always a plus. Oh, yeah, I need to talk about that one issue I have. If you get Twisted Finn on an Ichor leak, then he has the potential to spawn 3 more puddles in an already puddled infested map. This kind of sucks because I don't think the devs really considered that a lot of the spots can create unavoidable ways to not touch a puddle, which is, not really that great for players. Nonetheless, I would say the punishment for stepping on them isn't that bad, minus the stupid Ichor on your screen that lasts too long. Anyways, overall, Twisted Finn's rework is great. If Blushcrunch keeps this up, every Twisted, including commons, will be good by the end of 2028.
Not so neat trinket.
The trinket fishing rod still isn't that good, due to multiple reasons actually. Fishing rod now highlights every machine for 5 seconds when the floor starts. Previously, it used to give you 3 items from common to rare rarity, excluding dandy shop items. Yeah, the rework is better, but it doesn't mean it's any good. Just a warning though, I will say the same point 3 times in a row, but I will give different examples to prove my point. But take what I'm saying as the redundancy point. The first reason I think it isn't the best is due to how redundant it is. I mean that in more than one way. Let's say you have high movement speed. What good is having every machine highlighted if walking or running allows you to search around the floor and quickly find a machine? Okay, I tend to fix my freaking mistakes in my scripts. What I'm saying is unscripted right now, but I tend to fix my mistakes in my scripts. I said that most machines are also small. I'm gonna screenshot that and put it on screen. I don't know what the hell I meant by this. I'll just say the whole line out loud instead of trying to fix it because I don't know what it's trying to say. Most machines are also small, so if you ever struggle finding a machine, it's when you're down to the last 2. In other words, it becomes irrelevant by mid-game. Why? It only highlights once for 5 seconds at the start of a floor. Yeah, I don't know what I tried to say there, so I'm I'm not gonna try and fix it or change it or anything. I just thought it was funny and I'd bring it up. Yeah. Another thing is, what happens if you have V in your team? Then that's completely redundant. V has an ability that highlights every machine in Twisted. Sure, it has a cooldown of 50 seconds, but due to how passive it is, there's no reason to not spam it when you can. Also, 50 seconds is short when you make it further into the game, which is when Fishing Rod already becomes irrelevant. Lastly is what I kind of implied. The other reason it becomes redundant by mid-game is because finding machines gets hard at the end of a floor. By the start, there's going to be a bunch of machines in obvious spots. Though, I guess if I have to defend this trinket, it can be good to find an annoying machine and instantly extract it with V-mode. Oh yeah, that previous one wasn't the real nail in the coffin. That was just the last one for the redundancy point. This point is something that has been the biggest problem with trinkets since day 1. The meta. I mean, come on, there's only like 6 meta trinkets. Did you expect Fishing Rod to become one? What do you think, Mike?
Dandy's world is bad.
That's for true.
Untouched Finn.
This is my second biggest problem with this update. Why did Finn just not get reworked? I made a video saying he's filler because he doesn't exactly have a spot in the team, compared to somebody like Shelly. I also mentioned that Finn is literally just Shelly if she was a side character. Both of their abilities reward the player for completing a machine. One is stronger and one is weaker, but at the end of the day, they're still 2 sides of the same coin. I'll even use the thought process of players and devs wanting the Toons to have abilities that represent them physically. If Twisted Finn has Twisted Barnaby as part of his ability, why does regular Finn not? This, to me, makes no sense. Have Finn interact with something. His ability makes him a survivalist, but why not make him a support? That would fit him well because he does care for others, and Barnaby would help guide him to being a support. I already came up with a concept for Finn in my Toon analysis video for him, but I'll come up with a different one here. Since Finn's trinket, fishing rod, is all about finding a machine quickly into the start of a floor, I think you should use Barnaby to find a machine. It would be an active ability. Finn will take Barnaby out of his head and put him on the ground. Barnaby will then swim to the nearest machine. Barnaby is highlighted to every Toon, meaning any Toon can see Barnaby with a white outline through walls or something. When Barnaby reaches a machine, he will teleport back to Finn's head, and that machine becomes highlighted to everyone. I think to keep that extractor feeling from Finn, the machine should fill up by 15% when Barnaby reaches it. I do stacking changes though, like if there's 4 or more Finns, it will reduce to 10% and so on. Some people didn't like my Sentinel Finn idea, so I hope this one is a lot better. But what I'm trying to say is, they should have reworked Finn. It's his week, and it sucks he remains a copy and paste of Shelly.
The new machine.
There's a new machine type. It's called the Swimmy Barnaby machine. Remember that Swimmy Barnaby game from the start? Yeah, imagine that if the game was the skill check and the way to keep the machine passively extracting. However, I need to say this machine might be the most dangerous thing for Dandy's world. I know, bold claim, but let me explain. I also said around the start of the video to remember that Flappy Bird is a hard game. In a game where every enemy instantly starts to chase you, kicks you out of the machine when you get spotted, and where you need to pay attention to your surroundings to decide where you'll position yourself, do you see the issue where a hard game may take all of your attention? Okay, let's say you're on the Swimmy Barnaby machine. You're playing as a mid-skill check Toon like Boxton. Usually, if you were Boxton on any other machine, you look around occasionally, making sure a Twisted doesn't come out of a corner to damage you instantly. Swimmy Barnaby doesn't allow for that. You're too busy grinding out your Flappy Bird shriek to notice Twisted Goop behind you, then he pulls you and you're dead. That is my exact problem with this machine. In a game where the difficulty comes from the number of enemies around, usually later game having up to 8 Twisteds in a floor, and in a game known for egregiously bad machine spots. When these two mix, it does not create an enjoyable experience. From what was previously, should I keep extracting or should I get off the machine and go somewhere else or hide temporarily, is now, oh god, I hope that nobody spots me or else it'd catch me so off guard. I think that the concept is cool. A minigame for a skill check? Sounds fun! But the execution needs to be handled like a frail infant, otherwise it'll end up being like any other execution in this game. Shit. Also, I know some people will bring up VMO, Valve, or just getting a team member with a better skill check to do it. Yes, obviously, use your instant machine completing items on this machine. But when there's the potential for there to be more than 3 per floor, that may become an issue. As for the team member, you can't expect everyone to have the same player skill, even if higher skill check means that players have an easier time doing objectives. I mentioned how a Swimmy Barnaby machine would be hell if it's in a bad spot on the floor. This applies to that even worse because VMO can only be used once in solo runs, usually not even being recommended. Okay, but one might wonder, why the hell did you call it the most dangerous thing for Dandy's world? This is because I know the devs have an issue of not putting players first with their goals. Take the Cole quest for example. I will admit this example probably isn't that good, but I'd ought to explain it anyways. So during Christmas of 2025, Cole, along with the other Christmas Toons, got a quest to unlock a golden skin. Cole has a quest where you need to find Twisted Cole 10 times as Cole. Players hated this because it required so much RNG due to the rare class being rare. I know, crazy. But Cole was meant to be a distractor support, meaning she had shit extraction stats. This drove people crazy because Cole's playstyle wasn't for everybody, but they had to deal with it in the hands of the Lady Luck. The reason I say this isn't the best example is because the devs eventually came up with a band-aid fix, increasing the spawn chance for the rare class. I won't explain when this is a band-aid fix, I'll just be vague about it, because some of you need to start thinking for yourselves. Anyways, my point is, the Cole quest was created as a silly quest but no thought about what the long-term effects and shifting player expectations might have became. It's like Hytale, everybody liked it and glazed it with their life, but now you hear nobody talk about it anymore. No, not you Hytale fan watching this video, you're one of the only survivors. Okay, back to my main point. I'm calling it dangerous because the devs don't think long term. That's what my whole side tangent was about. If more machines start to get created like this, whether their chances of spawning are rare or not, it will start to stack, be noticeable, and make the gameplay significantly harder for everybody, which isn't very good in a game where public matchmaking lobby can't even make it to floor 8.
Dandy's buds.
I'll be real with you, I don't care. I don't care about Dandy's buds. Listen, this video got a little too long, so let's speedrun this, yeah? Dandy's Bud is the tutorial that everybody has been begging for since literally 2 years ago. Better late than never, huh? It gives new players a Buds title, and Dandy in the lobby gives them quests to better learn the game. However, these quests suck because they're oddly different in like values. One of them says get 100 ichor, another says complete 3 floors. I'm pretty sure one said complete 2 machines. Like what? They should have split them up further so they aren't so close. I think it can remain as 2 machines, but by the time you reach floor 3 you might have gotten 100 ichor depending on the run, so make it a further floor instead. It's a progression issue, that's what I'm getting at. Last thing I want to say, and this is my least favorite part of this update, is the fact that the game makes it other players' responsibility to help new players. This makes no sense because you're the literal game. You should be teaching players. It's even worse because Dandy's World is pretty toxic when it comes to experienced players meeting new players. If you faked being a boxen with no trinkets, people would just leave or sometimes you'd get harassed. Anyways, yeah, Dandy's Buds. Okay, move to the outro please. In conclusion, this update is pretty mid all things considered. I would say it's the best update in a while though, but the bar is all the way in hell, so I wouldn't consider it a big compliment. I really like making this video, and this was more of a practice video to get better with my scripts. If you feel like you enjoyed this way more than my other videos, let me know in the comments. Like if you want more scripts like this, and maybe even more videos like this. If you really want to see more videos like this, subscribe, just like how Pursuer is doing. Hype the video if you're on mobile, and thank you.